Hello, I'm JW. This time we're going to have a look at a supplier cutout, or main fuse, or service head, or whatever you want to call it. Basically the thing where the power comes into your building and then it goes into some kind of device which typically would have a fuse in it. And of course that's where the cables connect to go to your electricity meter. And here's a picture of a fairly typical example, made of black plastic. Nothing too surprising there. And here's another one which is surprisingly similar. But of course we're not going to be looking at those ones today because they're pretty much the standard thing. So let's have a look at the one we have got and see how it differs from the modern variety. So here's the example we've got, and first thing, of course, it's not made of crap plastic, made of solid metal, cast iron probably, and got on the front here, made in England, 119C, and the lid also has the 119 on it, and then we've got this symbol here which appears to be the letter J and a P sort of combined together in some fashion, sort of textured cover. The bottom is all filled here. We've got the two plugs at the side. This is where the cable has been just cut off, where it was removed from the building it was installed in. And the top is hinged there, and just got the hinges there, and then a sort of a fixing there where a ceiling wire or something would have gone through and kept the thing closed and stopped the homeowner from opening it and killing themselves. Now, so this is made of actual cast metal, and I've turned it over there. I can see the back, and just got the various fixings here, and then just the bolts that go through to hold the front cover in place. And at the top here, this is where the cables would have come out of the device, individual conductors, and it's actually missing one of these pieces. That's just a ceramic insert there, which obviously serves to keep the actual cable away from the metal covering. I'll say the other one's missing, but it would have been the same as that one. So let's have a look inside, and straight away you can see the reason why this has been removed from service. It's got two fuses inside, one for the line and one for the neutral. Now this sort of thing hasn't been allowed since the 1950s, so this is considerably older than that, and in fact should have been replaced half a century or more ago. And the lid just slots in here, and it's one of these where the lid can just be removed and taken away rather than actually being remaining permanently fixed to the device. It literally just hooks in there, much like a garden gate would. So again, the middle's made out of the same probably cast iron, and inside the lid we've got a little chart which shows you the sizes of fuse wire to use, and we've got three sizes there: 15, 20, 25 and 30 amps, and then you've got the size of wire there, which is from 24 to 21 in standard wire gauge, and of course the diameter in inches, so 0.022 up to 0.032. And the other side is basically the same, it's just been stamped onto both sides identical. Now a bit of corrosion in the lid here, and I see it's been painted in this green colour. The outside is also green, although the top has lost most of that due to it being obviously damaged and whatever's been pouring onto the top of it, so fairly corroded. Now these liners here are probably some kind of asbestos material, so we're not going to be scratching and chewing on that obviously, and just stuck in there with some kind of adhesive. Now the fuses here are all ceramic, and again this piece here is also a ceramic item. It's just a ceramic tube essentially, so when your outgoing cables went in here, obviously it prevented them from contacting and being damaged on the metal casing. And the fuses are the rewireable type, and they just pull out of here eventually. So fully made out of ceramic material. Got these probably brass contacts at either end. And B31/1 it says there. Use tube when wiring. That refers to this tube in the centre here, which is probably again some sort of asbestos type material. And there's the fuse wire there, just goes from the side screw on that one through the centre of the ceramic, through the probably asbestos tube, and of course over to the other screw at the other end. And again we've got down here SYMJ-54. These are fairly grubby, but they're not actually too bad. There's certainly no evidence of these being blown repeatedly, and they usually get covered in the molten copper and char, but say given the fact it's got this tube in the middle, that presumably would contain any kind of explosion when these things fail. And the other one here is pretty much the same. And again, there don't seem to have the tube in the middle of that one, but again, it's the same arrangement. The wire just going through to the other side there. Brass blades, and of course all the wording and everything is the same. The top here only has 30 amp, 250 volt. There's no manufacturer's name or logo on that. And this one's obviously missing that asbestos or whatever tube in the middle. Probably it was replaced sometime and someone just lost it and couldn't be bothered to faff about trying to fit it in there. Now the base themselves again are the same sort of ceramic material, and we've got the wires at the bottom here, the two screws securing the copper wires coming in, and again at the top the two screws, which again would be for the outgoing wires to your electricity meter. And double pole fusing, so not permitted anymore, hasn't been for over half a century, so this is going to be probably sort of 1940s or 1930s. And in the base here we've just got again the 30 amp 250 volts, and again the same on the other side there. And in the centre here we've just got this separator, which doesn't appear to be all that well attached. This is going to be some kind of asbestos board type material. Similar thing was also used for soffits and various other things in houses for an extended period. Probably is asbestos, though of course there's no way to tell without having it tested, but either way we're not going to be grinding it up and eating it. So either way we'll just place it aside, and see it's just held in place there with that little brass clip in the centre just to secure it in place. Now let's just see if we can actually remove one of these ceramic pieces. Should be entirely possible. So just held in here with the two screws, one on each side. And then just have to undo the two screws here for the incoming copper wire. Now, so there's no age on this thing, but again it's going to be pretty old because just the fact that it's a 30 amp fuse. 30 amp fuse for your entire house, of course, is not going to be much use these days. Just turn on the electric shower and it's used more than that. Now, I don't know if these are actually going to loosen out there. There's just the two screws going through into the back there, so those have certainly been released. But whether this will actually come out remains to be seen. Right, well there we go. So it appears to have been glued down on some kind of sealant material there. Red, it's fairly soft and rubbery, so I'm entirely sure what that is, but anyway it's sort of glued down on that one. And on the back here it's just basically a whole singly made piece of ceramic. Just the two toners in there, which are fairly loose, although they seem to be fairly well captive within the device because of the screws on the top. So if we took the screws away, that would just slide out of the ends, obviously there and over there. And interesting note here, the actual place where the cable or wire goes in, see it's actually not a complete circle, it's actually split, so you've got a hole in the side and then the cable goes in the middle, so not really sure why they'd have a gap in the side like that. And the other end is pretty much exactly the same, only considerably more dirty, as that's obviously been at the top with all the dirt falling on it. And there's more writing on the back here. We've got British make, and in the centre there B31/1 and SYM J33. Now the other side's going to be pretty much exactly the same, so we'll leave that in place. And see, these are the wires that would have come in for the actual supply, and when this was taken out of the building, you know, I've actually just sliced through the main incoming cable there, the two cores, and the earth would be the outer covering there, probably a lead covered cable. And the reason I've done this is because the bottom of this is probably filled with pitch, which is a black tar-like substance, and when it's hot it just flows and can be poured in there. But when it cools down it sets into a hard shiny black solid. So let's just open this cover and see if we can actually get in there. Just held on with these 4 bolts here, which notice just slide out of the slots there, so you don't have to actually remove the nut from the bolt in itself, so fairly handy design. Now the way these were generally installed was that the cable and whatever would be brought in and terminated, and then this would be then filled with the pitch material. And it's got three possible entrances for the cable. This was off to the bottom in this case, but so it's just got a wooden plug has been put in the sides there, and the same over there, obviously to stop the pitch falling out, flowing onto the floor. Now I don't know whether we'll be actually able to get in here, but we'll have a go anyway. Well, I've spent a fair bit of effort on getting this open, but unsurprisingly it's completely glued shut with the pitch inside, so unfortunately we can't open it and see, but of course it wouldn't be much to see anyway other than just a black amorphous lump. But if you look in the top here, you can actually see the pitch inside. And there it is, filling up the interior. And so we've got those two ceramic bushes there, the same as on the top too. Obviously keep the live and neutral wires away from the earth body of it. And there's the pitch inside, that sort of black tar-like substance. And so you can poke at it with a screwdriver, it doesn't yield particularly. So if you heated this up it would flow out and make a mess on the floor, but obviously that would be the only way to really remove the front cover. But as it seems to be permanently welded on with it, we'll leave it as it is. So I see it's totally filled all the way up to the top there, and of course that will fill the entire body of the thing, making it impossible to really get inside without melting it away. So that's a supplier's cutout, probably from the 1930s, possibly 40s, but 1930s seems a lot more likely. I'd say with the 30 amp rating, and of course two fuses, one for each neutral and line as well, which certainly hasn't been permitted since the mid-1950s. And I noticed one thing, I was just reassembling it there, is that the screws that hold in the fuses themselves, on one side they're actually brass and the other side they're actually steel, so you've got sort of the gold colour and the sort of metallic grey colour on the other side. Now whether that's just by accident or design, perhaps one indicates which side should be the live and which is the neutral, so not entirely clear there, but in any case they're both the same electrically. It's just possibly convenient to have them on a particular arrangement in an installation. Now, these sort of things belong to your electricity supplier, or more accurately, distribution network operator, which may or may not be the company you buy the electricity from, and they're not the sort of thing you should go tampering with or opening. Certainly in the case of these old ones, they're actually fairly dangerous, as you saw there's quite a lot of effort required to take the fuses out, and being made of ceramic, of course, they can be fairly fragile. And another problem is that the contacts in the ceramic base there are not particularly well fixed in, so if you're pulling the fuse, then possible failure is for the actual fuse to pull out, still connected to the contact, and of course that's when you can have the line coming in, shorting onto the metal case and causing an explosion and a fire. So certainly if you've got one of these in your house, it needs to be replaced, so to contact the distribution network operator to have that replaced. Certainly do not go opening it and tampering with it yourself, or even just have a look inside, because of course this one is the style where the cover actually just comes off and it's just sort of flapping in the breeze there, so fairly unsafe piece of equipment. So there we have it, and that's going on the website later, so there's some pictures of that at a later time. So until next time, thanks for watching.